we're getting the gates to come down, and we're getting some bodies down on the ground as well. It's Infiltrator to start with our first blood.
And you can already see how this map's going to function. A singular Vice Lurk there out of your player-like moves, and on the other side of things, it's going to be aggression through A main to claim this site pretty flawlessly on the side of Winthrop here. So now the remaining players kind of rotating over, clearing out those deep lurk positions and starting to thin the herd.
And right now, there's only 2 sheeps left of that herd. Wildfire trying to pose themselves maybe more of a lone wolf, saying, if I do have to go about this solo, well, hopefully there's nothing behind me. Moves very stealthily, maneuvering behind them from Flower. This is now Ollie. Oh, getting a little bit of help there on that kill with Infiltrator, and Wildfire sneaking their way into sight for one, denying the near flawless of Winthrop.
And that's something we're going to be looking forward to with Maryville, is with composition so similar, there's no double duelist antics, there's nothing that gives them an edge in fighting forward, which feels like it's become a prerequisite in professional play, in Challengers Tier 2 level play, where you take the space, you leave a deposit, and you go about your business spreading or rotating across the other map because you have that ounce of certainty. And now, I mean, when you're down already a pistol, Maryville is taking that to the next level. Stack and execute. Your Astra even joining you in this assault deep through A main. And it looks like Winthrop ready to receive it with open arms here.
Oh, certainly. Open arms wide. Here we go. Chloric, the first to peek. And he's peeking right to that vandal from Infiltrator. You already know what's going down at this point. Good for 3 classic. Out for 4. Let him ace.
And that last player gonna be met head on by the Vice, and you can see just jumping, playing conduct, trying to avoid the kill to give Infiltrator this ace. And you know it's moves, of course, the player that was coming shaking hands. They say, I got a sheriff in my hand, I got nothing to lose, so let's give Infiltrator this clip. And Giza, that is the most bad manners I have ever seen. I think they purposefully did that. I don't think that was a mistake.
The Razorvine may have been able to push them towards the ace, but Moob said, no, wait. I can go out that way. I will go out on my own accord. Thank you very much. But either way, the dust settles, and the 2-0 very much in favor there of Winthrop. Will we see the clap back?
But it's also tactical, right? Look, now Infiltrator won off the Bladestorm. They aren't guaranteed handed that ultimate for a 3rd round conversion, but in my mind, Winthrop's not going to need it. A lot of weapons carried over because of that flawless round. Probably even an upgrade found for moves in this expectation. And I mean, it's an eco round. You expect mid plaza to be the focal point, but when Winthrop has this much of a buy, this much confidence behind them, they can just go about a normal side exec. What they've been trying. Moves, again, on the lurk, this time a little bit deeper committed towards B, while the rest of the squad kind of strolls, kind of clears out A main.
With the clearing occurring, moves, as you mentioned, put in the waves there with the Arcros. Making sure nobody's hiding there in that cubby corner. Sheer still active on that end. We may have began at A and B, but now it's mid. Clearing out that B link. Keep an eye on Giza, very much hiding within that quarter and behind the box right now of Renz. They have no idea that he's there. Good for 2. Player takes care of it rather swiftly, and Moops finds a sheriff shot as well. It wasn't easily taken, but that path is secured to A.
Yeah, beautiful opening pick there from Ollie. Again, capitalizing off the outlaw, capitalizing off of that quiet deposit Winthrop made. But I liked the clearance. I liked the hold there. They had strong off art, like that surprise play from Renz, and that places Wildfire in this 1v3 to deny the 3rd round bonus from Winthrop.
Now Wildfire. The kill splur there from Renz at art. Can they stack a couple more in their favor? Maybe even use a chance. Not quite. Ali finds him in the back with that outlaw. Zhobiii, I want your perspective here. How much of a ratty map is Pearl? Because we saw some hiding on the B-Link side. Then we saw Renz behind the box. Are we going to see more of those kind of plays here from Mary?
I think as we get to this highest level of composition, I think from the attackers, you're going to see those lurks. You're going to see this deposit. You're going to see those late round kind of I'm behind you surprise plays. From Maryville, I don't think you can get away with it twice against a squad like Winthrop, to be honest. Now, when you said ratty plays, I thought you meant post-plant utility. utility, because that's what I'm looking at, and that is a like prerequisite in the current meta and for Pearl, and that's where, you know, Winthrop with the Taeho might have a slight edge, even if KO and those shock darts from Sova, you know, add fuel to the fire for the Maryville side once they're on attack. But let's get to this round, right? You just lost your bonus, you're down on money, and it looks like you're changing up the approach. Last time when they had an eco, they forced stacked A and fought forward. This time it feels like they're playing, you know, super far back, playing for more of a retake scenario once contact is made.
Yeah, Wildfire being very cautious about if that contact is made. Right off Art, allowing that space to be taken there by Winthrop. So choose to. Spike's still down there in spawn, so that's rather notable, especially as Giza is taking care of one of Winthrop's stealth drone. Pushes and into that pick there from Infiltrator, evening out the agents, and eventually that spike is picked up with that first blood on the A side, at least from Winthrop's perspective. Moves is still holding this side at a mid, securing that territory. It doesn't look like that altercation will occur, and still very steadily they're pushing on to A. That spike's down, but they're rather close to the spike there.
And I thought they were going to fight to keep that weapon out of the hands of Maryville, but it's been collected to make this 4-on-4 pretty smooth. And Infiltrator, I like you playing forward, but you got to avoid all of this detection utility. You've got to avoid all the players closing in. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to do it for the time being. The double swing, good. Giza, again, that player we're looking towards, carrying this hero rifle, carrying the weight of Maryville across the finish line amidst the sea of sheriffs to get Maryville's first round on the board.
It really felt like that rap from B-Link was going to tell the story of this round. They really could have pushed into mid, into the hands of Winthrop, but instead they steadily played from behind, spent their time on that flank, and it was 2 on the swing there to rack up those kills. Giza at 3, Renz at 3, slowly and steadily, and with that Thrifty, they're starting to push forward.
Ooh, in this round, I mean, we're getting the Renz operator that we kind of talked about could be an issue with the Fade, with the Taeho instead of the Sova. But fortunately, it's on the opposite side of the map. So the only real person that could be in danger would be, you know, moves on these lurks. But it looks like, again, it's this, you know, rinse and repeat from Winthrop. If A main isn't failing, take it by force each and every time, especially with Infiltrator and these Blade Storms as the added addition and the Armageddon to further facilitate the chaos.
And Chloric either push away into the Armageddon or into the Blade Storm of Infiltrator. Choose an alt either way. You're down. Plant as well for that spike is going to be down. So got a solid start here from Winthrop. All 3 near the spawn right now for Maryville. That link altercation could occur with Infiltrator searching for their 3rd. Right now, Wildfire still in the backside. Yes, there's the 3rd of Infiltrator there. Operator from Renz may have to be saved in this position. There's no reality where you defuse this spike, and yeah, Zhobiii, looks like that's what we're gonna get.
And I'm expecting a Maryville timeout after this, unless both, again, of these teams are playing very nonchalant grand finals, let's get this job done type of vibe. But at this point, you're forced to do a save. It's gonna be a Winthrop 4th. It still is obviously the pick of Winthrop, but this is not how you want to be opening up the grand finals. And it looks like Maryville, again, not being thrown some disrespect here, trying to get these weapons out of their hands, but they will survive. They will carry them forward into that next round where hopefully the strategy will meet the buy.
And Zhobiii, what do you think about this? As we do get that timeout, you've correctly called it timeout, I think, every single day that we have been here. It is not the Valorant timeout, it is the Zhobiii timeout. I just want people to know that. I want your thoughts on this A conditioning right now that we're seeing out of Winthrop. I think they've opened every single round on that side. Should we expect a switch later this half?
I think it's going to happen now.
Oh.
I think Winthrop's about to go B long, to be honest, because usually when you condition like this, then Maryville's entire strategy coming out of this is going to be, how do we address the problems on A? So what is Winthrop going to do? Make even more problems. But you called this the Zhobiii timeout, and while I may have called it, I got to call this the MCE timeout. Okay. Because shout out to this coach and the, you know, rigor that's behind their experience, Cloud9, the guard. They have that dad buff here in a person, too. He's been following him for years. And I think, you know, some wisdom, you know, to bestow here upon him can maybe help him, you know, counter again this A aggression and realize, okay, how can we utilize the ultimates that are about to come online, like the Steel Garden, to maybe play retake on that B site?
Why don't we upgrade the timer as well? Why don't we update it? And here we go. That timer's ticking away. So more Valorant action is at your doorstep. It is round number 6. and Maryville trying to turn the tides.
And it still looks like it's going to be a B end for the time being, but it's a little bit different than we thought. Not a B main, not a B long presence. You send moves to handle that, but you're going quick through mid door off of that stealth drone infiltrator. Nice deposit, whittling away some of those flashpoints out of this Wildfire players. Tucked deep, do they realize there's more than one here? And it seems not to be the case. Giza claps back, and there's that Steel Garden you wanted.
And there's more. I don't even think they needed the Steel Garden. Of course, it pushed them to try to make the primary work, but I don't think a secondary is going to matter when your entire face is lit up. That is 3 for Giza, and it is not just the 3rd of kills in that domain. Giza has absolutely staked their claim in that B-Link.
That's the why it's a player to look out for on the side of Maryville. Didn't do it alone. Wildfire, some really nice pop flashes to facilitate when an Arc Rose was on its rotation, cool down. But this is the risk you run when you split out the gate, when you go for that aggression and don't realize, okay, Maryville, they have the same level of respect for you and are willing to push back, to fight back. And it looks like Maryville, right, they might get this round, as it looks like almost a save's already been called, weirdly enough, out of Winthrop, despite them being rolling in cash.
As if we haven't burned enough of the clock already.
Yeah, and Maryville, I mean, it feels like they were more gifted this round by Winthrop making some mistakes, right?
It could very well be true. I just think maybe the mistake was pushing into Giza. I don't know. That seems to be maybe a reoccurring problem for Winthrop that they have to double back and think more of. But this is a really important turnaround right here for Maryville off their potentially extended timeout. But they will extend this game a little bit further. There it is, officially the 2nd round win for Maryville. And this is how expected, a competitive first half, no matter what way it's formulated.
You know, I would have been nervous if Maryville lost that round. It would have then been a quick route there for Maryville to get 6 or more rounds. The rifle rounds kept going their way. But Maryville, again, a great adjustment. They utilized the Steel Garden, yes. I'm more concerned that Wildfire and Rens weren't able to get those ults online, so you gotta get this shuffling a little bit over time into business. But outside of that here, Winthrop, and they lose around playing around with B, playing around with mid plaza, and they go back to the A shenanigans. And it looks like this time, again, the timeout, we talked about it, they wanted to address A control. And it looked like they were going to, but these Tejo salvos are just so oppressive in that regard. We can't wait for the nerf.
Oh, can we ever? Well, you know, I'll keep queuing as Tejo until the nerfs come, but so will these players in these competitive matches. Right now, you see Cloric still hanging out there in A. They've kind of been positioning in those sneaky corners versus playing the backside. There's certainly a decision to make there, but the drone hoping to collect a little more information for Maryville, finding nothing through Arc. Been a very patient start to the round for Winthrop.
Ooh, and that's a huge pace change versus this dive they've been taking round after round, whether it be A side or mid door. And now Art, Giza again at the receiving end of all this pressure. The players of Vines are going to divide and conquer a little bit here, but it looks like Infiltrator's looking to pioneer their way nonetheless.
And Cloric's been sitting in that spot for a while, hoping to get some value out of it, but clearly it comes a little more difficultly. Shorty to the face, Infiltrator pops off yet again, and Giza only stays alive for that trade. Operator now in the hands of Infiltrator, still able to make it work. 3 now for Infiltrator. He might be at 15 for this map already, just in round 7.
Oh, the recall start good, but not good enough. Infiltrator, there's your 4K you asked for. And the fact that it's insult to injury that they picked up Renz's weapon and carried that forward into those conversions tells volumes. And the only other thing to point out there was, again, Maryville didn't play that terribly. They were playing quite well, right? They were refragging, you know, the deposited art players, whittling away those post-plant individuals. I really think it was just that proactivity from Infiltrator, and Maryville wasn't prepared to have their retake attempt thwarted from the get-go.
Well, let's get going to this next round. Giza still trying to hold it down on either link. Could continue to be that X factor here for Maryville, but the real X factor is taking control of that A main territory. It's being fended off right now by Renz. You can see the scope, trying to locate that first player. Zhobiii not found, but they'll continue to hold this angle as long as they have to, until they get that engagement they were looking for. Infiltrator as well, trying to hold the right angle, and Giza, why do you keep pushing into Giza? He's gonna make these kills look like a breeze, you know? And continuing to move around this mid end is Winthrop again, trying to hold on to this territory. Could it be just the next victim is Nazi? And Ange on this other side around the boxes has to pivot off to this B side because now here come Winthrop towards the site.
Oh, they finally find their way down lane despite he's a stronghold that's been here time and time again. They've also dislodged Ange, who was trying to play their life on the site. And now, I mean, Winthrop firmly in control here. You do have the No Command, you do have the Blade Storm here if you need more aggression outside of that operator purchase for Rens. And it feels like that's what they're setting up to do, bidding their time, waiting for all these individuals to come together because they know they can't start sacrificing rounds like this.
Position at the hallway. Those may be the first to clear out if you can. Nazi reminds him that's going to be a little more difficult than you'd like. And with one down, that is all they need to know to pivot right back off. The shorty's poked out there, but Cloric takes care of it. A couple kills on the exits there for Maryville, but that's all they're going to find at the end of this round.
I don't know. What it feels like is happening is Maryville's like feeling like they want to play the too perfect of a game. I haven't seen much scrappiness to match the energy on stage. They're leaning into these really safe saves round after round here. You know, I feel like Winthrop, again, they're so confident in themselves. We talked to Nazi again at the semifinals saying, we don't care, we're confident that we can win this despite that past performance at NACE. And that's what's showing here, right? I feel like any other collegiate team with really strong mechanics behind them, like Maryville, would have been like, okay, 3v5, doesn't matter. No Command, Blade Storm, we're dashing, we're diving in and utilizing those as an advantage. And Maryville just isn't taking those risks. So Winthrop is stepping ahead round after round, and it could be too far to turn back.
We've been saving that operator. We've been saving these ultimates for long enough. We see Maryville start to utilize them at the right time for this round to turn it around. Remember the mention of that A space being taken up early in these rounds. Right now it is under Maryville's control with Rens. Doing that again with the operator. They very certainly find someone in their crosshair. If they're not pushed out by salvos and the like, it's going to be the drone first. Trying to spot them, Tailwind active, and well, you kind of got to get out of dodge, especially if you do get collected by that drone because you won't have the Tailwind to utilize after that. So it is the pivot off from Winthrop to the other side.
And we mentioned again, this composition's weak against an operator on the B side, but it's always been A for Rens. And in the meantime, it's always been players like Moobs, and this time around, they have help of Ali paving this way over towards the B side. But what's different is how Geese has been positioned as utility. Sheer wall still up on the B side while you have that control over mid. And that's what's now, I think, going to buy them some time so that Snow Command can get popped. So the players can rotate over and Ange can find kills just like this one.
That's important for Ange, but their teammate of Wildfire already went down, was stuck in the Razor Vine, and then got stuck with the shots as well. So solid execute coming out for Winthrop here, and now they're able to play the post. And Nazi able to collect one, and that's two from the link. One towards the Heaven side. Nope, the Hell side, actually. That is still the, oh, Sheriff held by Giza. What a headshot. Rens eventually does go down. Moobs holding their ground, Ali as well. Cloric pops the spike, but with that dissipate, they will be exposed. Trying to get the kill in the hall, they've got to keep on pushing away, but Moobs can just keep playing around, showing their barrel of the gun, but they've taken the time away. It's yet another round where Maryville, you get the exit frag, but not the round.
And I really liked that Winthrop showing they're not afraid of a B execution once they know the Rens operator isn't there. So understanding the weaknesses of their composition, still find a way to have those late round pivots. And speaking of the late round, that was the first time we actually got to see Moobs alive that late and the impact that he can have in delaying the timer despite not having as much utility. And this is dangerous. MCE, both ultimates in the first half, so you will not be able to talk to them until halftime for 30 seconds. And then overtime, if it goes that far?
If we get there, that's right, 2 timeouts to take, and this is the second one already. Now, there was an extended timeout already for that first one, so now you're taking a second one. You're right, it's a dangerous maneuver, but at the same time, it's very dangerous to end this half at 2:10, so you're trying to avoid that.
Oh, of course, and coming into this next round, you just saved a weapon, you have some ultimates. So again, we're leaning into, okay, how do you not play a perfect game of Valorant where weapons match the ult, where, you know, the numbers match the situation? How can you convert off of what you have, being flexible, being reactive, and yeah, playing when you are down 2-7 to say the least. And I mean, the takeaway here is, you know, it is at least Winthrop's map pick, but this is definitely not what you want. And this goes back to what we mentioned as well. Maryville has the chillax day, hasn't played since, you know, noon, so they might not be warmed up, right? They were busy setting up their preferred audio, devices on stage, they might not have had time to hit the range. So, just like we've seen in previous series from the pits, this could just be the map 1 jitters getting out of the way.
And it could be the coach trying to get those jitters away and trying to tell their team, you know you're better, go act like it. So this is a great round to do that. Round number 10, we've reached the double digits, and now Maryville trying to keep that away. Right now, Hunter's Fury already popped and in search of opponents, but Flare from the mid side, special delivery out, and 2 down on those eliminations. We talked about the combo play from Flare and an Infiltrator, and it comes alive yet again. They are aware of Giza on the other side, but Giza more aware than they could ever be. Shorty already poked out. Cloudburst allows that range to maybe converge, but it's just not enough, and Giza takes care of business.
And you said it, MC instilled a sense of confidence and pride in them, and they put the pedal to the metal, proactivity, fighting out of arc, catching Winthrop off guard. Even when it seemed like for a second the scales and the trades were tipping in the favor of Winthrop, the extra forces arrive out of the side of the B portion of the map, and they wrestle out that third. So a 7-5 here would not be too shabby, especially when both have fairly similar compositions and approaches. And now that's almost equating the economy too, right? Winthrop no longer stacks of cash, now just the standard livable wage.
Got a chance to tip the scales here in your favor, Maryville, and the A fight proceeds. Infiltrator finally removed as the first blood, and this could be the hugest move that Maryville could ask for as much damage as Infiltrator has done.
Yeah, and it seems like they were having a hard time keeping a cap on Infiltrator. And Renz almost felt shackled by the operator. Now, Renz has dashed out Art, has dashed out Main. And this time, both opportunities has found huge openers for the side of Maryville. So this is a nice look, a nice turnaround at the moment. And now they're even countering the re-execution from Winthrop. Clorg here from Secret, a nice kill found. And now that they have numbers, they go on security. Lockdown mode, smoke it off, don't take engagements unless you have to, like Art.
And that may just be the case. Ali says, you want me to take an engagement? Well, I will. Couple found there, but it is Clorg once again in that cubby trying to hold their position, and they will now with a shorty. That's a dangerous position to stay in, a wall bangable spot, but as well for the spike plant, it is safeguarded. You're allowed to put that down and not have to worry about that wall bang until now. Primary's back up here, still numbers advantage from Maryville, and it will start to landslide. Giza takes out Ali, who already found 2, and it's just moves to protect that spike and try to get one elimination after the other. 11 bullets in that gun barrel, but none of them will be utilized for the win. It's 2 in a row for Maryville.
And Giza, your reigning champion in the server, comes through and says, I got this, just go for the defuse. And I liked that tempoing out of Maryville, waiting, understanding the ult potential that Winthrop had, like that skilled garden, ensuring they had the full weaponry to fight back into that site and played the time down. And not only the time, but the economy now played down for Winthrop as well. Last round of the half, so scrape the barrel a little bit, especially when you have these 3 ults to complement it. And we could just see an 8-4.
We could very well. Those ultimates there, little bit scary. And the Cosmic Divide, my favorite position for that to be utilized is this B site. And I think Giza has a good idea of that. Most of the utility has been placed at mid. This time around, it is at B to try to deny that effort. It is going to be the split push from B initially activated there with the Prowler to safeguard some of that area or try to scout out some of those Maryville players. The Nightfall can assist as well, but you've got the KO there of Wildfire to peek with the flash and take everybody down with them. Flare gets one on the salvo, another with the Bulldog. The Armageddon popped as well, but they will drop 3 in a row for Maryville to bring it 5-7.
Ooh, a great attempt from Flare there. The Armageddon just a little bit too late after the Nightfall was invested, and it felt like all of those ults really was just for mid-door control, not for B long or for the B site.
It was almost a sour half there for Maryville, which reminds me the CECC is brought to you in part by Sour Punch, famous for those delicious, perfectly sweet and sour straws, bites, shapes, gummies, and the new filled straws. Sour Punch candy delivers that perfectly balanced fruity flavor and punch of sour with their iconic mouth-watering coating. Treat your taste buds and punch up your energy anytime you need a boost with the Sour Punch. Embrace your punch. For more information, www.sourpunch.com.
And speaking of perfectly balanced, it's not the 6-6, but a 7-5 half. You win the pistol, and it means that you have the opportunity to even us right out the gate. And it looks like a very different approach approach here for the side of Maryville, right? Not these A antics, not this death ball, a little bit of a deposit, the recall star, the deep, control over long. And it's going to be that slow kind of scale up here. But speaking of scaling up, Winthrop, deposit, Ollie, and they're going to keep searching towards spawn. Wildfire seen.
Yeah, this is a slow start to this pistol round. We've got a little bit of sounds from either side, but still all 10 agents standing. Spike transferred. Chloric able to take this position instead, and I kind of like this from Winthrop, right? There's no reason to over-aggress in this situation. Continue to get information where you can, and they will continue to respond to some of that. Arcros able to pop and trying to find more, but it does look like this one's going to end on the B side, which Winthrop, they're a bit prepared for. They're scattered quite, it doesn't look like they're able to make a decision here. But let's go anyways. Friends able to hide out in this smoke, but now has to move off of the salvos. It's going to be Flair and Ali to find a couple there at Link. Kind of disposing of this split push right now for Maryville. And now you got a couple left. Are you even going to get the spike down at this point? Wildfire having trouble doing so. They find a couple headshots, but it's not enough in the end.
Wow. And I thought Maryville did a really, really good job spreading the attention. Pressure here, pressure there, so that Winthrop wouldn't have a comfortable time or a surefire like, they're coming here, let's rotate, let's commit. And the speed in which Winthrop made that decision, got to the site, and was able to completely body the players from Maryville shows maybe the strength of the delay, the strength of the players there. Some quick pop shots off the Ghost, and just like that, that quick pistol round turnaround that I foretold that could have been great for Maryville is smothered to smithereens.
I mean, you talked about the flexibility needed for Maryville on defense. We definitely saw it there from Winthrop on that responsiveness, but trying to respond to this, and now it is Renz clearly through that sheer on the tailwind, skates right past the salvos as well. And wow, on the other side of it, Nazi getting that quick one from Wildfire. A few found there on the drone, and everyone else that pushed through Link is down as well.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was concerned there for a second. I'm like, why is there no follow-up of the sheer wall, right? No punish off the singular player that would have been isolated. And it's because they're like, we still have them contained. Two players coming from mid-connector out of art. You got Nazi on site with a Bulldog. What better combo could you ask to serpentine around and choke out an eco attempt out of Maryville? So Winthrop coming in, this bonus to be feared with a stacked arsenal and some regen shields even in the mix on the side of Maryville. It's gonna be dangerous, and it looks like they even have a strategy here to get proactive out of mid-plaza.
We're already going to see that lineup from the recon dart as well. But yeah, for both Link sides, it's watched and held out in mid. You got to be aware of this, especially if you're Giza staring down the barrel of that. The Arcros, of course, is prepared for it, but it's not going to quite find anybody just yet.
And it feels like Winthrop is usually so intentional right now with Infiltrator's placement versus Renz was like, okay, Renz, where do you want to play with this operator? And I like the setup that they have here because it counters from the get-go. Lurk plays from Giza like we saw out of moves in the last half, right? Ollie gonna take contact here. If they fall, Infiltrator pushes out. And even the Nova Pulse was set up to counter that. So here, like I mentioned, Infiltrator gets procced. You can see moves is gonna join them as they now try, even with a number down, to retake this A site.
Ooh, Flair does remove Renz though with the salvos, and so still waiting on this spike plant right now is Chloric. Good position as well there for Infiltrator to try to find a couple Chlorics. Just caught in this cubby right now after putting the spike down, but it doesn't matter. Ange comes through on the flank, and Maryville with a very important round.
Very, very clean. I mean, that high-low made it felt like Chloric was trapped. You saw Wildfire was trying to help him get out of this uncomfortable position, and then Anne just, I think, reflanked through mid-plaza and snuck in to Art to dismantle it from the back lines. So maybe there, again, Winthrop gonna have to keep an eye out for what could be brewing, because Maryville may have more layers than you expect, and I mean, that could have been a disastrous round. Even walking away with, 2-3 rifles isn't the best here, and you can see that money going to be a little short as a result, but here we go, 6-9. That gap could get closed with this next rifle round. Looks like, again, it's just Maryville. These slow starts just trying to gather information, intel, and react upon it accordingly.
Felt like the slow starts from Winthrop really produced an anxious Maryville. So they're like, how do you like it? We're going to play a little slower as well. But eventually that spike is brought over to the B main side. And stars are getting put down. So dashing through that sheer once again is Renz, just fearless into the hallway. Going to take some damage off that fragment. But equalizing with the headshot there. Nazi not watching the right spot. Didn't really realize that Renz could be back in that hall. Infiltrator, this tailwind could get popped, but they're gonna stop for just a moment.
And again, it feels like there's no punish off of that Vice utility, so you get deep deposits like Renz in halls, but it's still not enough to disrupt this retake. Utility nice, waiting off the Zhobiii util as well, allows all this free space, but look who's coming through, Link!
Oh, it's gonna be Giza looking for something. An Infiltrator right there on top of the wall. It's just not that safe of an area. Right now, Moobs able to take care of business maybe with the defusal. They're trying to avoid the spam. They're actually gonna try to stake this. No, they won't. They'll get the elimination. And they find another unbelievable for Moobs.
4 HP, and the defuse comes through just in the nick of time. The Nebula drops, they take the fights, they take the trades. No matter how you spin it, that would have been a Winthrop round, and Winthrop double digits. And it came back to, again, the awareness. They're like, hey, we got reflanked by Ange over on the A side in the late round. We're not going to let Giza get away with the same, even if they are 17-11, top frag in the scoreboard for your team at the moment. So, again, an important round I mentioned goes south, and now your economy's a little on the fritz.
By the way, I'm surprised Moves didn't get up after that one. We saw him get up there a lot in the pit,
pits, yeah.
let's say. But on the stage, a little tamer. We'll see if that changes as the course of this match continues. Caloric having second dots over on A main, but able to scout out a couple and as well get that dart on. So Winthrop, try as you may to take this A space. It's not going to be secured that easily. Oh, wait, hold on, Renz on top of the box, looking for a couple. The high-low setup. Renz and Giza able to push forward and take out 3 together. Damaging efforts right now against Winthrop, but still holding on is Nazi, eliminating a couple for themselves. But Clark does get that res on the wildfire, so it's going to be made even more difficult there. Ange on the CT side, and it's just Nazi. They found the kill, they found a couple, but against 4, that's a lot on their plate.
And I am still just in awe at what just transpired, right? A really proactive take of A main, and then it's just thrown right back into the face by Maryville to clear out a main, the pushing forward, and Ange, I mean, you saw it, like, updrafting with a Phantom into Art to try and counter these players. It feels like Winthrop maybe got a little over-eager there and thought they could win those fights, so maybe, again, the double-edged sword of the confidence coming through.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, listen, if Renz is popping up kind of fearless like they did the tailwind through the sheer and the fragment, we're just seeing Renz W key no matter what is in their face, and it's producing results right now for Maryville. So that's kind of duelist you want on your team, that kind of behavior, setting themselves up for success. The A fight continues, but the real action is there on the Art side. Hunter's Fury trying to find a couple, maybe doing a little bit of damage. No eliminations, but they've certainly taken the health bar down.
Yeah, you mentioned the approach built up the confidence, built up the rounds, but it built up those ults. And I think they're fortunate they didn't walk away with any deaths after an escapade like that. Nazi pinged down, but ultimately the B end. This is a really deep Cosmic Divide, which would have opened up moves to punish, but Renz throw on the clear out. And now I'm questioning, how far do you go with this Blade Storm in the post?
Listen, you got that Cosmic Divide, of course, so you could just watch the wall. And a body shot on Nazi is going to do enough after that Hunter's Fury did so much damage. Hans,
no.
yeah, not going to locate anybody in that situation with the smoke in your way. And it looks like Renz is still going to watch this area despite the Cosmic Divide down. Time ticking down still, and Winthrop holding on the CT side. They're waiting maybe for those salvos to regenerate. They're out on the hallway, but Renz still holding this angle, and now the time is there to push. One is located, 2 are taken down. Giza with the help, trying to steal the crown, push them forward. Maryville starting to pile it on.
Wow, and you saw it there. Winthrop sticking around, just trying to, do some damage because they knew that Maryville wasn't necessarily out of the woods just yet, but Maryville instead says, all right, we're going to take these ult orbs, we're going to take our Steel Garden, we're going to take more kills to power up an all-star Giza, and just like that, we are 2 rounds away. But Winthrop, slow start to the half, won't stall out the inevitable operator for Infiltrator, posted up towards the A side, but again, we've never really seen Maryville take these dry swings, these engagements like Winthrop did on their half because they knew they could win them, and I think that's going to hinder Infiltrator a little bit in these sort of play rounds.
Really for Winthrop on this round, you just play a little bit safer, a little more passive. You've got so many solid retake ultimates here. Right now, Clork is pushing through. No, Nasi still wants to take the fight to them. Prowler to get one, and right away popping that Nightfall. Prowler's gonna chase yet another, but the return is there from the Steel Garden. So if you want to move off that Nightfall, good luck with those secondaries. It is Renz now pushing through with the team. Spike's gonna be able to go down, but the salvos will delay.
Oh, and those weapons are now back up. Primary's unjammed. An Infiltrator in the swing of things. Not going to pop the blades because you're hit by the suppress. And there's those ultimates you talked about to retake this site. Armageddon coming out to flush players out. But now, I mean, Spike was never planted. So you really just did all of that to, with 40 seconds, make them pivot to B where nobody's going to be.
But it comes down to the pacing right now of Infiltrator with that operator, and so I think he's winning the race a little bit. Maybe Tortoise versus Hair and Infiltrator. I mean, we're looking at these hair angles right now. The smoke there as well, and a beautiful shot from Infiltrator. Tailwind available now as the rest of the utility kit as well will be shared. The whole team's here. It is a fiesta, and the salvos will just join the party. Little to no, time to get that spike down. So Infiltrator, you've done your job. Now just save the op.
And you can see Wildfire there was trying to punish, again, the egos of these players, but Infiltrator not even taking the opportunity to safely tuck a tail. They get their 3-piece, they get their glory, and what a round. I mean, very well understanding of those ultimates, I think, which is why they took the route where they can maybe come in contact with enough players to take those options off the table. And it was just Winthrop playing very safe, playing very deep. Even that updraft, right, from Renz was met with Flare, like, let me get out of the way. I don't need to take this fight in secret. So very nicely done on the side of Winthrop, and coming into this next round, it feels like it's do or die. You lose this round, Maryville may have one more opportunity, but it's still going to be map point.
Well, what do they have up their sleeve? Could start with Giza at mid, who's pretty much been good for one or more every round. So when you're eliminating that player, that certainly turns the tides. No sheer Razorvines available later on, but a Razorvine certainly there with Ange and company. Ange immediately going down by moves, and Infiltrator sharing the limelight as well. Take it away, Renz. At this point, we've seen a complete turn of the tides from the duelist Infiltrator back in the limelight.
Oh, and there it is. Now a player has to step forward, a hero, and Clork in the back lines. The tap good from Wildfire to bait them out into the angle so Clork can punish, but now it's all down to Clork. The 1v3 to keep Winthrop off of map point, and they are getting bombarded by utility when their own has been stripped away in the process.
And of course, Ali picked up the operator, said, I've seen some interesting angles taken on by Infiltrator. I think I can handle the action as well. And no doubt Ali in that position, but there might be some doubters here for Maryville in this round. They've been able to scour some rifles, though.
I mean, and this is, you have to. It's the last round, no matter how you spin it. You gotta, you know, invest everything for the next 4 rounds until you get to overtime. Yeah, it looks good. Like I said, they had one opportunity, I think, with the money left over, but it's so difficult because you mentioned Winthrop look like they're just shaping up with each round, and I think that comes out of how Moobs was playing the B defense, punishing off the Razorvine, punishing Renz on the dash in. So again, they're understanding, okay, how can we utilize the utility, the placement to win these engagements? Speaking of winning engagements, Ali won this opening duel last time, and this time Maryville has shown up with friends alongside Giza.
Ollie's so patient in this situation, moving off the Prowler and getting to Clork with the instant trade, and maybe could even the odds, safeguarding themselves around with the Prowler and everything, but Infiltrator with the Blade Storm gonna put an end to that. The mid fiasco for Maryville, 1 over on the Winthrop side.
Oh, and you saw it. You know where Ange is. You know where now Wildfire is off that jiggle peek into Art. But you still have Spike under your control. So you're going to play delay. You're going to play to ensure nobody can stare you down. And it's Wildfire, the 1v3. Power friendship.
And they'll go down. No hands to hold there for Wildfire, but together and forward. They will move on for Winthrop. Started out Pearl beautifully. Couldn't hang on to the best first half that they wanted, right? I think it went to a 7-2, then a 7-5, but it was clear on the other side of things. They were able to hold on for this first map win.
We mentioned Ollie. They were also, I think, stepping up, especially towards the latter half of that map, right? Especially in that art position on that Asher. They weren't playing the backlines. They weren't playing their utility. They were playing front and center, usually being the first to swing, right? Against players like Infiltrator.
Yeah, Infiltrator.
Or Friends.
Or Renz. I mean, do you really want to swing into either duelist? No, but if you're Ali, maybe you do. So that's sort of the interaction, the altercations that we're looking for here on map number 2. It is Winthrop's to win, to take over and be the CECC 2025 winners. But clearly it's not going to come very easily.
Yeah, a really nice dart there to punish that 2-player, but then the response from Winthrop almost immediate there to fight down mid and deposit this arena ready to engage. But outside of that, in the meantime, the rest of the squad was perusing up B main off of this toxic screen, but they never cleared out yellow, they never cleared out moves, and they might not have to because Infiltrator instead is at the brunt of the force reactant.
I thought moves would be that surprise factor behind yellow, but I guess you don't need it when you have Infiltrator getting those frags early on yet again. So it's kind of forced this pivot from Maryville to position onto A, where it looks like they do have some space to work with.
Yeah, Cloric depositing themselves under rafters here, trying to fight towards these proactive screens, retake, not thinking they're deep enough. And speaking of those deposits, they also had Ange over towards mid, but it doesn't matter if the players are unthwarted on this Reef Flood. Swarm Grenade and all to deny the spike plant altogether, and now your Lurk player and your Sight player have been taken care of.
Everybody coming to form there towards the end. Again, we talked about Infiltrator putting in the work early on the previous map. Are we going to see that near 15-3, 15-5 that we saw on Pearl yet again?
With an Outlaw and an Eco, I think we are. I mean, the fact that, again, they almost aced, and if you remember, that's how we kicked things off. Giza, like, I sacrificed myself to the Razor Vines to deny not just the ace, but also the Blade Storm. It makes me think we are headed towards a similar path, but I do like how light this buy-up is. Again, I feel like an Icebox map can get away with it, to say the least, but let's see if Maryville can get away with just 5 strong A.
Looking at Ali potentially being one of the most pivotal duelists on this map, and well, with Delirious certainly could become one. Dismiss after that first blood just to get out of the action, but it looks like they're thirsty and they're hungry for more. Giza ends up going down as well, but Ali will continue to stand their ground, but they've pretty much given away that Spectre. Flare still taking care of business though on that Killjoy. Renz again upgrading now with the pick-me-up, finding the head of Infiltrator. This is absolutely possible on the 1v1 on the other side though, is moves to put it all to bed.
Oh, bloodied and battered, but Winthrop emerge from the battlefield with that round intact. I mean, it started off great. You're playing around Ollie in that arena perfectly. Get your kill, dismiss out. I think they wanted more than one off that dismiss, though, and once they realized there were no more targets to be had, and the reveal realized it was a high-low concoction, they wanted none of it. And the re-execute was just a little mismatched player as well. You're not missing some shots on the Bulldog. It made it easy to punish and overcome. And we mentioned how light that buy was as well. It does mean they can afford some Vandals and some Light Shields to try and still get a 3rd round across the board.
And I'm looking at Wildfire to be a little bit careful with the regen shield now that that Outlaw's still in the hands of Infiltrator. But Ali again really overexerting themselves in these positions. Good for one, but then finding themselves with none right after.
Here we go. Dust Silos the 3v4, but look at how low HP you are when hit by the Outlaw here. The Viper knocking on death's door. Toxic screen as soon as it drops. Infiltrator will get another opportunity as well on the Reds. Where are you looking?
Clearly not an Infiltrator making the Outlaw work yet again. An Infiltrator and Flare, they're always working off of each other. Spike has the opportunity to still be planted here. Snakebite gonna deal half damage to Wildfire, but that regen shield allowing themselves to be a little bit closer to 100. Hoping to play off of Ange on these maneuvers, but neither y'all got a lot of health to work with here. Toxic Screen cloud a little bit, but Ange immediately sprays through and finds a headshot onto Flare. Another one found now by Wildfire, and just one more to remove. Maybe the toughest of them all. Infiltrator scouring around, looking left, looking right. The barrel of the gun though found by Wildfire. The spray won't connect. Ange on the other side. The spike pop. They're not watching the right side. Infiltrator taken care of.
Wow, 10 HP, a dream and a timing to lock in that round. And I think that was very well communicated as well. You know, I'm 1 HP, can't survive a snake bite. Wildfire goes for the plant instead. And all of that, I mean, hinging off of, again, this aggressive high-low where you mentioned, okay, Wildfire's going to play off of Angie's contact. Angie says, no, I got this handled. Little waiver in the Toxic Screen, and you suddenly shut down Flare, who found a great kill with the Sheriff that round as well. So with that, again, another attempt at a force spy out of Winthrop denied. Again, we're going to be close from the get-go. And look at this, regen shields across the board, and sometimes Icebox bubbles down to go A.
Oh, yeah, it looks like A. We need to some new craves because more bodies are being laid right there. Reds removing Ali. They just couldn't get out in enough time. It seems like no one can really in this situation. Oops. Won't be finding anything at all either. So we'll move very swiftly to the next round.
And I feel like this is the perfect dichotomy between what we mentioned over on Pearl. It felt like they were trying to play too clean, too perfect of a game into what a scrappy composition requires, is scrappy gameplay. And this is why a lot of people hate this map, is because it does bubble down to just who is aiming better at that point in time when it comes to butting heads on the A site. And right now, that's the exact mentality that Maryville is leveraging to get these rounds on the board by, once again, as they were about to break this tie, go away, even when it's an eco for Winthrop.
Winthrop. It'd be nice to have more than just a couple sheriffs, but what can you do in a situation like this? Giza wants to
145?
Advancement out of this. Tough on that HP indeed, and Ali gonna have to pivot off of that side, but the Blade Storm come up massively for Infiltrator with this Toxic Screen. Only has a couple angles they could realistically watch as a shock bolt flies right overhead and in front of them, weaving in and out of those dangerous positions. The Nanoswarm even won't find them. Infiltrator waiting very patiently for someone to peek into their crosshair.
Look at this. I kind of saw the Viper move from the bodyguard position deep spawn to starting to pave the way towards this B rotation. But this is when I love a good anchor player, and that responsibility is going to fall on to moves here. Only a Sheriff in hand, but they do have their utility to play around, and the Snakebite to delay until the reinforcements arrive.
And a lot of that utility should be used here to delay that spike plant, but 40 seconds means you've got a little time to work with here if you are Maryville. You've got some ultimates to work with as well. The Empress is popped, but it's tight, taken right down. Hunter's Fury finds one, but infiltrating and noobs finding more. Ren's good for 3, and they're back up and running with a not dead yet. It's only Ali alive, and well, they might be able to see one away with the not dead yet, but the other two, that could be a problem.
But I like where Renza ended up here. If Ollie, comes from mid, comes from Hall, not going to be able to really collect a sizable upgrade beyond that Sheriff here. So not going to be as winnable, especially when an Empress is online. And after Maryville has been bloodied on an eco round for Winthrop, investing 2 ultimates, you got to keep these 2 players alive and strong. And that's exactly what they're going to do, side by side. Maryville, and finally, you know, stopped at the helm.
That's right. So, good start here for Maryville, but now with the situation of Winthrop having some weaker guns, still getting all those eliminations, this could be a chance for them to bounce back and bounce back hard, right? Operator now finally in the hands of Infiltrator to deal some serious damage.
Oh, for sure. And we saw what they could do with the Outlaw. This is only going to be scary. And we mentioned again how right now Maryville's strategy hinges off of early A success. This is one way to put a stopper on it. And Nazi setting it up brilliantly here while also capitalizing off of this orb. A near sight isn't going to do much.
And we saw earlier that Infiltrator couldn't really find anybody in their crosshair, but not having much of a problem this time around. Still filed down by the Recon Dart, but look who crawled their way through mid and able to find one on that side from the mid end. But Wildfire goes right down with that spike, so while the lockdown is able to push them through into the site, they are not able to get that spike down soon enough. Now, gotta wait out this Hunter's Fury. Nazi able to find a one here. Shock bolts available to take out the spike planter. Rex is barely staying alive with 18 HP. We've seen some low HP clutches already in this round, but we won't see it here.
Oh, there was huge potential. Find the kill, get the pick me up, reposition into the 1v2, but all in all, it's still going to be a Winthrop round. I mean, I was scared. The fact that there was a major lapse in communication, I mean, I'm 90% sure that Flare would have made this mistake of not having a turret or an alarm bot mid, but the fact that there wasn't quick enough communication that, wait a minute, and just running down mid and is backstabbing you as the plant is secured amidst the chaos as well of the Hunter's Fury, it was all I can say was some heroics to get that back under the belt of Winthrop to tie us, to keep us even 3-3 as we go into the next round where finally we're at true to life even footing.
Took a little while to get there, and you know, at the very least, we saw the turret placed at mid, so whether it is the piece of utility that needs to work or the communications to work, focus on Winthrop doing exactly that. But A, once again, is going to be the hot zone here on Icebox. If put away Cole just a bit. They're out in that cheeky position taken there by Winthrop on top of the box, but eventually having to get down Giza, hoping that maybe this could be the round that they put some frags together.
Ooh. And again, they're so good at taking this space. You can see now Winthrop maybe changing gears, right? You have the lockdown. You have the Empress resources to retake this site instead of fighting it head on. And now, with an opening kill like that, you even have an edge in this situation. So, I mean, there's the plan. Set, point, execution coming in.
Right off contact, that lockdown put straight down, really forcing Maryville right out of the way. They've got the spike, they are out, the exit found immediately. And even with that rotation set and secure, Infiltrator is one step ahead. We're watching Valorant, but it feels like chess at some points in time.
But Angie's 3 steps ahead. Look at this, coming behind you in the kitchen. Ange through snowpiles should be able to handle Infiltrator and likely get more here. And in the meantime, they facilitate and execute onto the site. Safe passage for Clork, which is sometimes you can't be Icarus, you can't fly too close to the sun, because now it's Clork in the 1v3 to clutch out the round.
It swarms there to watch Spike, but Clork not available to watch the one coming from the kitchen. And there was certainly some cooking happening in that kitchen. We saw that last kill from Clork, but Ange really being the difference maker.
Oh my gosh, Ange has been like consistently weaseling the way through, and that's going to be a dangerous game if Winthrop can't get a hold on it. But for now, I mean, Winthrop, the plan, we only saw the surface level of, right? You know, denied the plant, forced them off the site with the lockdown. No, it's forced them into the operator. Make those opportunities for Infiltrator. And when there's layers upon layers and Ange isn't finding the round-winning impact with those lurks round after round despite finding that advantage, that's when your coaching staff has to step in. That's when MCE has to be like, okay, this may be going wrong. And you mentioned wanting to see the energy on stage for Winthrop. Nazi, all smiles.
All smiles, feeling good that maybe potentially we've casted now. This is our third mainstream Valorant match, and could be a third 2-0. Certainly, that's what the folks from Winthrop are hoping for. But yeah, for Maryville, this is another first half timeout. It's not as bleak of a scenario as it was the first time around, right? This is really just to rally the troops.
Oh, no, it's still 4-3. I think right here it could be a 5-3 just because I think the money was, again, a little tight here. It's kind of like where you're stuck in that purgatory of, you know, win, loss, and you're never going to have a substantial bonus to kind of, you know, piggyback off of. And I'm trying to now figure out, okay, Ange doing their job. I think for the most part, Giza also doing his job. A lot of the first blood's going his way. Last round, obviously, Ollie wasn't able to. Even Renz is playing interference a lot of these times, fighting forward. They look a lot more emboldened than over on Pearl. I'm wondering if they just, needed to get a little bit more creative. Maybe not start A every round. And Kings of reactivity, Winthrop, look at this. The operators, they are Infiltrator on yellow.
Come on, the read is too good here. Infiltrator says, I wonder if they've got a different plan here after that timeout. Well, they're looking on one end. of that box and may have preemptively jumped off here, because right past that roof is certainly a plan B that was coming through for Maryville. Moves is going to be pushed off, so that's now two that were proactively positioned on that point of yellow, now moved off and still trying to do the dirty work there in two, but this time pushed away.
Oh, and that's gonna hurt. I mean, it feels like really Winthrop's using their timeout to use the opportunity to develop. I mean, look at this. You've deposited Ollie. You had Infiltrator kind of obscured by Moves' presence around the drone. And, okay, the lurks are still working. The lurks are still lurking. Both find their kills. I'm just gonna erase everything I said.
Sometimes it works out in your favor, and certainly they'll take that, but Infiltrator asking for a little bit of their own on that shorty, and now the operator as well. Continually the X factor for Winthrop turned into tides in their favor, but that spike is down. We haven't seen too many retake opportunities here for Winthrop, but right here it has to come together at a certain point. Maybe you get that first pick, maybe you pop the Viper's pit just to make the defuse a little bit easier, but that operator, important to find a kill. The shock pull, certainly not finding an opponent when it runs right into the wall there. Maybe used a little early on the jump peak there. No more bullets left in the cartridge there of the operator. All the utility swarms around the spike. It makes it nearly impossible to defuse, but another kill made from Infiltrator. That's three now. They've got to push forward for the last to make this defuse possible. McClure gets the spam. They get the final kill needed, and they'll secure the round.
Oh, and just like that Infiltrator as well, no chance to salvage the operator. The 4-4 comes through in the nick of time, and you mentioned getting that Viper's put out is going to be huge here for Maryville. They change things up to the timeout. They get the B site pretty, set in stone, and they're good to go.
Yeah, that B-side finally working out. We saw so much a calamity. And after that timeout, you head on over to B, you get those lurk kills, and you start to stack that success there. Proving to Winthrop that, hey, if you let us get that spike planted on B, it's going to be a real tough time defusing it.
And I think that's where, again, Winthrop, you're going to have to maybe develop a little bit more map control. Push through A, push through mid, disrupt that kind of post-plant setup. We didn't see that. So maybe a late-stage pivot to come. And look at this. I mean, Ollie, you're taking it to new heights. You just got punished last round, and you're going to try it again?
I mean, we've seen Ollie push forward here nearly every round, and to their credit, a lot of the times they are good for one, but yeah, definitely caution as they push into that angle that they have to watch their back. You gotta have a head on a swivel at certain times. Well, on a swivel as their drones, they can look each and every way. Ali ready to play against it. They will be found, but they want that kill regardless. The perfect Reyna play. You know where I am. Come and get me.
A wildfire ironically getting burned. Now Cloric trying to find some reparation, some path forward, so that A option is still in the bank if this B execute fails. And we talked about this coordination between Moves and Infiltrator, and it looks like it's that same exact setup. Infiltrator, deep snowman, safe, Moves for the spike plant denial from mid. It should go fairly smooth.
Yeah, the poison cloud with the toxic screen makes it nearly impossible for Infiltrator. Saw a barrel.
Peekaboo.
Just held the gun nevertheless. Ange gets a huge kill on the site, and now with the Viper's pit, what can you really do with the operator? Well, it doesn't matter. Now the blade storm's out. Infiltrator trying to deal some damage here with that knife action. But Cloric on the turnaround, trying to get the top side of that tube. Can't really get any of the kills, but that's okay because Renz follows up on it instead. That Viper's pit paying dividends and not dead yet as well. Active. It's nearly impossible to take out everybody right now if you're Winthrop, because Maryville just holding their position, pivoting around the pit, making matters worse now for Winthrop and making it work for a 5th round.
And again, Maryville have that driving factor. Cloric through tube, or under tube, I should say, sets up Renz. You mentioned it. Yes, they don't get the kills, but they draw all the eyes onto one target. And Renz, the player that can get aggressive through the Viper's pit, does just that. So again, Infiltrator, nice Blade Storm. Again, you're 11-8. But again, it feels like even when things are working right now for individual players on both sides, it never is a surefire way to secure the round.
Not whatsoever, and this is the truth of Icebox. There's too many routes to choose from here. And Ange has been good for one for a lot of these rounds. This time around, it will be 2. This eco round not sorting out the way that Winthrop were certainly hoping for. With 5-3 on the change. It's going to be made more difficult, but Ollie's always ready to turn the tides on the A side. For now, Maryville going to pivot off of that end.
Yeah, I mean, that just felt like an eco strategy falling flat right for the side of Winthrop, because Maryville somehow decided the one round we're going to go mid is exactly when Infiltrator and friends have the same idea in mind. And now it's just picking up the rest of the pieces, right? Making sure you don't run into the gamble stack. And I think they've successfully placed that pivot point onto the Beast site. You're going to see maybe Ollie follow through, which is nice. Clear out that lurk player like Lurk, but all in all, that's not going to give you much. No players, they're playing safe. They don't want to hand these weapons over, and it should be actually a Maryville 6th.
Certainly looking like that's the case. You do have one position on the Snowman side, two right from the tube. Giza, though, ready to meet both of those players. Ollie does get the headshot, maybe finding a second here eventually. Dismiss it away, and Nazi says, maybe I can make this Sheriff Sig as well with a dink, but it's not enough for the kill.
Ace?
And on the ace, and instantly finds it. The eco put away by Ange.
It's an eco ace, but isn't that our first ace on broadcast?
It is.
So shout out to Ange in the grand finals, 13-6 to put the 6th on the board for Maryville. Definitely a happy place to be after being down 7-5 over on Pearl, and it looked like they're gonna try to achieve more than that. I'm gonna call it, you win this round, I'm looking at an 8-4, because again, Winthrop's not gonna have the money to support a last round bye. And I mean, Maryville, they've started conditioning themselves. B, mid, and now they're going back to the roots. They're going back to A.
Keeping that operator guessing as well. Sticks right through the feet of Ange, who's already pivoted through mid. There's no way you're letting Ange do this again. It only works if you hit your shots, so couldn't find the crouching killjoy, but Ali will remove Ange, and so that lurk doesn't work out as the way that it should have. Clork right around those nanoswarms, going to be able to put that spike down, and Giza position a little aggressively here. You gotta remember that lockdown, always ready to push the rest out. You gotta choose. Are you gonna push? Are you gonna wait? Infiltrator wants it all right now, but has to eventually move away.
Ooh, and somebody's still Infiltrator. You mentioned they'll be safe in spawn, but detained nonetheless. A little bit weaker, a little less time, and Wildfire flanks the same way. It does not. Where's the communication? How do they get away with two?
Again and again, in the back of the head, Winthrop, they just don't have eyes everywhere. They just don't have the comms to get everyone in action. They can't even get the last kill. Things falling apart finally for Winthrop.
Wildfire's like, yeah, I just got two. Yeah, I just won that round for us to lock in our 7th. And I mean, that was interesting. I mean, I was about to say when Ange was about to get away with it, I'm like, I just said that Winthrop wouldn't fall for that twice. And then thank you, Ali, for, you know, salvaging the round, at least for the time being, because you get the site, you get the lockdown, you're good to go, and you just try to reflood in, but it doesn't work out. So I mentioned it, look, no shield for Ollie, no shield for Nazi here. I mentioned it was going to be rough, likely leaning an 8-4 just from a pure advantage perspective. Now let's see if Winthrop gets a miracle.
Ooh, well, interestingly, that Hunter's Fury is available. You might as well use it now that you have it, and it's good for one. So there you go, Nazi removing Renz from the situation. Smokes aren't going to be a priority, so you got to put that spike down now. It's going to be difficult, made by Nazi. It just moves. Available. This 1v3, only a snake bite and a bulldog to their name, and nothing more. It's an 8-4 half indeed.
And finally we're seeing smiles, finally we're seeing reactions when it was very stoic, very silent over on Pearl for this squad.
Indeed it was, but will they have a better half, or will it remain sour here? You got to remember, folks, the CECC is brought to you in part by Sour Punch, famous for those delicious, perfectly sweet and sour straws, bite shapes, gummies, and the new filled straws. Sour Punch candy delivers the perfectly balanced fruity flavor and punch of sour with their iconic mouth-watering coating. Treat your taste buds and punch up the energy anytime you need a boost with Sour Punch. Embrace your punch. For more information, visit www.sourpunch.com.
And if anybody needs a punch up their energy, it is definitely Winthrop, down 4-8. Finally, double duelist is in its element here. And look at that. I mean, I said it. Sometimes it boils down to brawl it out A, and that's exactly what Giza and Winthrop were aiming to do here.
This is exactly like Ali, right? Giza on that radar wants to get that first pick, but playing a more conservative effort out of it. And definitely getting matched up with the other Lear here. Infiltrator trying to work off of that first pick there from Flare, but Ali finds yet another. They're just 1 kill away from having that free sight, but Wildfire says it's going to cost a little more. You're not going to get me as easily. Does fire back with that first kill, but now more reinforcements have arrived here for Maryville. Everyone's ready to play this A site as it stands.
Ooh. And I mean, playing retake here, a 2v4. It's no wonder Winthrop's not rotating. The trade is good. Again, it comes down to Jace of CECC, and you're not gonna find that clutch here. Infiltrator playing their life, playing for the kill, and it is a pistol round 1 for Winthrop.
Well, you know what? I think Giza had some other ideas for that round. Just couldn't really find that first frag. And then once that first elimination happened, it all snowbounded, dominoed after that. So good first start here from Winthrop. Pretty much what they're looking for.
Yeah, and Giza, I mean, they look flashy at times, but sitting at 5 and 11, it's really Renz who's been set up by their success. So definitely not the demon we expected to have in the server for the time being. And I feel like they're going to have to step it up, especially on the defense when both are running these hyper-aggressive compositions. They're going to be favored on the attack no matter how you spin it, especially with the go away till it fails approach.
I love this Zhobiii interaction here. You want to send the drone? I'll send the shock bolt, okay? It's a tick for tack here, play, and off the rope as well. They'll find each other. There it is. Nazi wins the interaction. Just with the Sheriff, has to pivot off, has to make sure they don't take any fall damage as well. I don't want to see them on 6 HP go down.
What a Lear, what a swarm grenade, forcing now the Winthrop members in these uncomfortable positions so that, yeah, Maryville can get it set up to counter any sort of spike plan.
Ali, Guardian shot will hit, but there's still 2 in the backside to take care of. Shock Bolt has taken care of half, so the body shots will do the rest. After that one headshot actually from Boobs on the wallbang with the Sheriff, so just about everything sorting in the favor of Maryville.
And Clark's like, what do you want me to do, guys? I have a shorty. And Nazi, if you go searching, you might just find that out the hard way here. Moves, I mean, they were more lethal with the Sheriff than some of the players were with their buy or purchased weapons. So they're also looking here knowing that it's no harm, no foul if that weapon is conceded. But all in all, when you were down 8-4, keeping this round flawless is a great way to turn the map around.
They might just do that with everybody looking to headhunt here. Clark would be impossible. So making the shorty work, sidestepping some bullets, has to go down to either one of the guns from Winthrop or the spike. So it will be indeed the flawless from Winthrop, that 2-0 start, and how are the buys looking here for Maryville?
I mean, when 2 of your players have Sheriffs, then yeah, you can afford 2 rifles on the side of Winthrop. For Maryville, I mean, it was your second round. It's pretty kind of standard how this was going to flow, how it was going to go, but I'm kind of concerned about the 2 light shields. Well, Veriza visited that for Renz and Wildfire. Nothing to top it off, cannot fix. But outside of that, Winthrop, I mean, they're keeping it fairly simple. We haven't seen catastrophic lurks just yet out of Flare or out of Moves, and it looks like Moves may be trying to change it now that they know they're fighting a losing battle.
Oh, and Giza, the aggression on the A main side was not working out, and the 2 blown either. Instantly eviscerated from that, and Wildfire caught in the recon as well. Has to pivot straight off. So these initial engagements just continue to win over on that Winthrop side. Wildfire not willing to give up this position. Shock to try to take out one, but Renz, yes, that shock does land on the Ollie as well. You'd think this Sova combination would work out still for Wildfire, and now they've got yet another recon dart to send. So, Winthrop, say, what do you got? What do you have still in your arsenal, Wildfire, as we slowly march forward to try to take on this site? Tailwind still available, and there is Moves getting 1, so now the agents are even. It's time for Infiltrator to make their move, but Wildfire's already taken out 2 of their teammates. Infiltrator responds with 2 of their own. Tailwind, spike picked up, and maybe, just maybe, the spike plant.
Oh, you hear Infiltrator trying to run you down, and now probably, echolocation triangulating you to that corner. Cloud burst out, the fake cross, the real cross, and the shot, the hospital flick, and the celebration. The team's so loud that bro has to take his headphones off.
You might as well hype it up with the squad, because that's the way you fire back and do it for your team there. Wildfire was camped out in the backside, ready and waiting for the whole team to come through. They eliminate 2, but Infiltrator does the same and more, up to 16 and 11 on Iceball.
Oh, wow. I mean, if there's an MVP right now, which I know there's an award for, I can see who would be crowned if this ends up being a turnaround, a 2-0 for Winthrop. But in the meantime, again, it's just start out A, see what happens. And we're looking now for Maryville to make that adaptation, and it has yet to come.
When will it arrive? If it does, remember that A was the prerogative of Maryville in the first half. It seems to be the case as well. Here for Winthrop. It's Infiltrator, ready to heat up and keep on fire. Tailwind ready. Do they send the Cloudburst to advance up the site, or they approach timidly with their teammate? Winthrop and Maryville ready to meet each other all on this site. Clear is out to keep them back. Infiltrator can't see a thing in their own smoke, and Wildfire deposits them instantly. Hunter's Fury removes anything of volley around with the spike as well. And I mean, the spike is not going to plant itself. Nazi, you got to find a way to get to safe territory and get the spike down.
Huge respect from Winthrop towards Maryville, waiting for the toxic screen rotation. And Giza was alive this time, not first blooded, and as a result, pulling down kill after kill off of Renz's contact. And just like that, the Thrifty delivered to keep Maryville in control of this map.
I'll tell you what, Maryville, I think, are recognizing that Winthrop are so stubborn about this A site. They've had so many opportunities to rotate away, maybe try mid, but again and again they push A. And so Maryville just say, you know what, if you really want to advance on our site, so be it.
Yeah, they force stacking on the eco round. Very informed decision, I'd say, thanks to the conditioning here. It's like Maryville understood when, it was starting to reach its limitations going A. Winthrop just hasn't gotten that memo. Even now, after losing a round in that fashion, they're still just trying to duke it out here.
Giza says, I welcome every fight. Saw that Hunter's Fury find a kill on the defensive side, but on the attack, no such luck. Giza instead has to continue to take this position. Nanoswarms here. The shock bolts right around them as well from the heaven side. Both Sova's trading utility, but now it may be time to pivot and swing these angles. Giza, how do you get away with that? 3 or 4 players watching ya, but Ali sends it right back and positions forward with that dismiss. The Empress is popped. It's time for them to pop off.
And I want Giza to pop the Empress, and this is exactly why. It's that it factor to lock it around or turn it around like we just saw out of Winthrop. And we saw Android, they stuck around so long on the B side, but that could just be the win con for this round. The late development, nobody watching the flank, all eyes on Chlorocure screens, which is exactly how Andrew wants it.
Ange good for 1. The pitch play. Will it come to form? No, there's no help on the first elimination. Chloric decides to pick off moves at the end of it all. Didn't follow up the initial kill, but said, don't worry. It's all patient, it's all good. Maryville up to 10.
Cool. And maybe some of that confidence again, fighting Winthrop. I think I remember like word for word from that interview, they're like, we think we're better, so we just swing. And when you're in an attack side situation in a 1v1 like that, maybe buying down the time is a good idea. But all in all, that just results in Maryville with double digits here and a broken buy on the Winthrop side. But I wouldn't count them out just yet. Blazestorm's online, a full shield indicator, and when you have a 16 and 13 duelist like Infiltrator, anything can happen, especially with a focal point shift. Look, they're going mid.
We haven't seen this enough quite yet. Yes, we've seen the pivotal lurks coming through mid, but what about the entire team here? Infiltrator instantly on top of the tube, hoping to find 1 here with the knives. A kill leader trying to put things into form for their team. First blood could be on the doorstep, but you've got to to take into consideration these pivotal ultimates on the other side as well. You asked for the Empress on Giza. There it is, finally in action. And on this B side, eliminated by Ali, so that may be the point for Winthrop to turn on.
Yeah, I was finally looking forward to Angie getting challenged, right? And we mentioned, okay, AA executions have their limit, and Winthrop finally figuring it out, again, without utilizing a timeout. So might be able to get control over this site. The secondary defense is starting to roll in here, Chloric in particular. And this is also what I asked for out of Winthrop last round. Proactivity from the defense, right? Pushing, prodding, finding Infiltrator, and wasting their blades away.
No way. Renz. We talked about Infiltrator being the kill leader, but Renz is as well. And you know that Not Dead Yet is going to be popped because now they don't have to worry about the detainment. So they'll push forward. They'll search for that kill. They know they're aiming for it. And Flare just posts up on an angle and removes them again. Boobs, though, we've seen the cooking in the kitchen. Can they do it yet again? Chloric eliminates their doppelganger and going for two now. So Moves, the last remaining, had moved off of Kitchen and will move straight out of this round.
Yeah, I understand what Winthrop was going for there. They realize Move's position, you have to tuck away safely so they have enough time to get into that catastrophic position. And when, again, there's just no reaction, no initiation there, and it falls flat, so does your round and maybe your chances at this map. Maryville up to 11. That was a CECC round, so that's a silver lining here, but still with no timeout, we gotta see what the shift is. And I liked the color. I liked them going mid. I liked them prodding B because they easily overwhelmed Angie. But all that to say, they're still with, like, you know, gravity towards a planet being pulled back to this A site.
Oh my, Giza, no, the dart comes, so the body's gotta follow. How about two? Giza running rampant on this side. And the Lear just to get out of dodge. So it is a 1-for-1 in this position.
You should run.
Always coming through on the A main side, but how about the lockdown to force your way in? This is the prerogative now for Winthrop. You've got to find a way to get that spike down, maybe follow it up with the Viper's Pit. There has to be a win condition in these late rounds.
I mean, we finally saw Maryville winning these A fights. This might just give them the edge, but Wildfire seems to have other plans. The immediate recon going out, the ping on to the Arena. Really good here, because then your Viper can get the plant, can hopefully get the pit down. Moves in this situation. In fact, going to invest it because gotta keep them off a map point here.
Ooh, Wildfire. I was thinking maybe the drone would be more helpful with the Viper's Pit, but they're getting kills just fine. Unfortunately, their teammate is not. Giza ends up going down there from Ali. So now you just have two teammates to work with. Chloric sending some smoke spams into the mix. Gotta keep in mind as well, you've got Moves here within this pit. You potentially have some nano swarms as well with your teammate, but Moves able to get that kill, but they're instantly traded out. And following up, has to find a way for the defuse, but the spam from Flare is there. Will the follow-up be there as well? They've got to move through this ruse. It's being stuck. They've got enough time to eliminate. The clutch secured.
And until the bitter end, until the last second, I was doubting Winthrop every step of the way. I'm like, why are you leaving Moves alone in the pit? Why are two of you off site? And in particular, if you are off site, shouldn't you play time? Why is Ollie peeking? It didn't seem to matter because Flare was confident in their sightlines, confident in their crosshair placement. It doesn't matter Toxic Screen. It doesn't matter a ruse. They are not getting fooled into a 12th round favoring Maryville.
Not in that case, not whatsoever. The Viper's Pit ended up landing as well with the lockdown. You had everything with the Killjoy to set up with that Flare for the post play, but a lot of ultimates had to be utilized for that round win. Yeah. Can they do it without them?
Ian, we mentioned it. It was what, you know, equated both sides of this situation. And I agree, without it becomes difficult, but this time around, Maryville's not fighting forward. Actually, and finally, maybe Winthrop never planned to follow through on the execute. You kind of saw them a little bit deviating, a little bit falling back, but all that was just trying to dislodge players, and Maryville just ironclad holding strong.
Do wonder if that mid lurk comes through yet again. You've got a turret and kitchen alarm bot at mid, so there's really no way for Moves to cut through silently, and they'll cut the noise there with a couple bullets of the Vandal. Turret taken away just to induce a little panic on the side of Maryville. That maybe, in fact, they are lurking from behind, but now it's all up to LA. Push forward for this team. Renz with the team, hoping to get a pick, but their teammate of Wildfire going down. One found from heaven. Will they be able to get the kill? No, the spam doesn't work, but Infiltrator drops down to their death. Giza dismisses, but can they really get away? Yes, with the jump they can. And then following it up with the Phantom, Ali removes them still. So on fire was Giza, but Ali, just that Reyna, that was on point.
I love this, right? Alarm bot was triggered right before the Killjoy dies. Now Ange is worried. Where was this lurking moves player? And you still got to focus on a 1v3 because the Viper made their way back to their team. And Ali every time, so impressive. Giza gets one kill, Ali doubles it and passes it to the next. And this time they might be just passing us into the next round. 9-11 on the horizon here. And just time ticking away, contemplating the save. And I think at this point, that's the only option.
That's all you can do here if you're Ange. Listen to that timer tick away. In this case for Winthrop, hold on. Are we gonna get an interaction here towards the end? It looks like we will. Oh, Ange does find that kill, but for Winthrop, this is a pivotal second round to take over. Sometimes you gotta look over the monitor and see that, hey, there's a big trophy right in front of you. That's what you're working for. You win this map and it's yours.
And my spidey senses were tingling at the prospect of a timeout. I didn't mention it just yet because I'm not a mind reader into the MCE, agenda. I was like, maybe you save it for like right when you're about to go to overtime or lose, I should say, to a 13-11. But I like the proactivity because Winthrop, they really haven't changed, right? I think it was the eco rounds that they went B main and they went mid. Every other Rifle round, it's always been A, whether it's death ball into A, whether it's ult into A, whether it's, fake A, wait, go A, it doesn't matter. It's like you're cooking potatoes a million different ways. They're still potatoes.
It's just A. It's always A. And, we've seen that patience as well out of Maryville to say, okay, I understand. This is where we're meeting each other. But at the end of the day, it's been that fragging. Especially we saw it on the last round from Ali, able to get kill after kill. And when you're winning those face-offs, well, you're winning the rounds as well. Talked about how pivotal that Viper's Pit and that Killjoy ultimate were earlier on. Now you got the Hunter's Fury and the Empress, so maybe those frags will start to really snowball.
I mean, that just allows you, again, to set up for a really stark execution. But there is one thing I do like about Winthrop. They respond very well to enemy timeouts. And even now, right, Spikes and Spawn, they're waiting for that response out of Maryville. And I was curious to see if it was going to be leaning heavier into this mid fight, and that seems to be the prerogative. Giza going hand in hand with this Killjoy, fighting through the Poison Orb, clearing all the snow pile, and it's just Spike and Spawn, wait, respawn, and maybe even end day again. We'll have to see.
Maybe, but we're not waiting for the Hunter's Fury. That much is clear. Wildfire getting one onto Flare. Unbelievable first pick. You gotta think now for Winthrop. Do you want to fire away with that Hunter's Fury as well for a kill? Or maybe hold it after the spike is down and take out that diffuser. Tons of options here with the ultimates available, but is that nearly all of Maryville on the flank?
Yeah, 3 players clearing all of B main out, which is smart. The one kill you got was outside of B, and in the meantime, the entire squad for Winthrop has deposited themselves on the east side. They have a deposited lurk over towards Boiler, and this is not going to be seen or heard. That turret out of contention because you have no Killjoy.
And Moobs is thinking, are they going to come under tube? Are they going to go through mid? Where are they? Well, I think Infiltrator's about to find out here as Moobs going to take the interaction as well with Ali, but on the other side, Infiltrator taking down to the flank, certainly coming through and depositing of nearly everybody, even with the Empress Ali. The ace clutch just not found.
And Wildfire clapping, saying, yeah, I contributed to that round, when in reality, Ren's 2K with the Sheriff, they shut down all of those lurk play potential points that Winthrop had, like the deposited moves. And I was worried again, because it felt like, you mentioned it, they realized, wait, nobody's coming, and you saw Infiltrator go to address the flank. And it ultimately was just losing out duels, losing out in a 1v2, 1v3 when there are so many angles to worry about. And that defense crumbled with numbers disadvantage. So Maryville, with that timeout, showcasing YMC took it, get their 12th, their map point, and I mean, the buy is not great for Winthrop to get to their double digits here.
Ooh, no, it is not. We're going to have to see some stinger surprises during this round to really stack up the kills. And, of course, they have to have their head on a swivel as well because they were not able to contend with that flanking potential out of Maryville. That doesn't seem to be a factor on this round. It seems like the meeting at the round table will be on site as Renz wants to find that first with the rifle. We'll see footsteps. We'll not see them for themselves get that first kill. Hunter's Fury right away just to try to create some space into the site, but maybe even get an elimination as well. Huge pick found, opening the round up for Winthrop. Yet they're still so patient here, keen to play together, cluster up, and Renz, well, they're ready for it as well.
Yeah, Winthrop getting stalled out here means all that impact that was found from Hunter's Fury has been neutralized. The player's still here and knows they're not rotating to be anytime soon, so they can stay here. And it's still Renz and Giza. You know, you're seeing them in your nightmares. You're going to see them right here on the A side yet again.
Renz, there it is. The pick-me-up activated as well, and Chloric is finding them on the other side, but the Stingers are able to find one. Flare gets that one, but Giza goes big. That's a huge one. Couple dismisses to get back to the backside and maybe collect those extra kills to remain for Winthrop to try to get the map, but Nazi goes down, and now it's behind you moves. You can't get out of that situation. We're going to a map 3.
And I feel like last time we were pleasantly surprised as well. I was like, I don't know, Asova, it's harder to set up your Neon for success, but I think Infiltrator has proven to us time and time again that he can get the job done on his own. And even when he doesn't, Nazi's actually getting just as aggressive, just as up in your face. And again, starting out here on the defense, it's going to be much needed, especially with these four starting out strong over towards a Rebel.
Drone is the first utility expended for this round. That trophy, eyes in the waiting. Winner of this map. And it's always that gate crash available just to swing around. So a little bit of activity expressed on the A side, but the instant rotation onto the C. It's going to be a tough job here for Moobs to collect all of this Maryville roster, and acknowledging that with the paranoia, they're going to pivot off, but two still on the CT side. Giza going to push them off a little bit with the flashpoint available as well. Past that cage, there's really nowhere to go for the three of Winthrop until the combined forces on the waterfall. Giza good for two, and that signals the rest of Winthrop to try to make something out of nothing. Infiltrator dashing past the spike, still left on the ground, but so will Infiltrator's body as the dust settles and soars.
It's like double fake. Where do I look? Trying to track where Infiltrator's going, but Maryville definitely had it handled. I really like how Moobs played that again. It feels like in the newer meta, you don't have the Anchor Sentinels, you have the retake Sentinels, and the delay was good. It bought enough time for Infiltrator to come over. They're really able to let the extra troops come in, and those troops were there in Waterfall, and Giza just says, wait a minute, if we can't go in CT because of the Razor Vines, we're gonna run you down Waterfall, and they find that kill, they find that advantage, and they lock in the pistol from the get-go.
Very well. Maryville operating well at the very start of this one. Rems, yes, good for one. And gets out of dodge with the gate crash yet again. The plan coming to formation once again.
Yeah, definitely taking some damage there. We'll see if it's worth the singular smokes on the side of Winthrop. And now, I mean, again, when you're having the better weapons, you expect some craziness, some shenanigans. So they were waiting for that pivot, waiting for that response out of Winthrop. And again, the discipline comes through. They're not going to make a move until the confirmation comes. And the drone outside of A is going to be that first audio indicator. And the fact that it sees no one instead is starting to act as a draw for Maryville.
Notice as well the gate crash now on the A side, and so that's going to allow Rems to push through to the C end and maybe make some noise. They're already doing so with their clone, and they could follow it up with more if needed, if anyone wants to really push from that C side. But the push isn't happening from C, it's on the B end. If they really want to come through on that flank, it's going to have to be through a trap wire, and if they want to get on the site, it's going to have to be through Nazi's pistol. Good for one, but Giza gets him in the back.
Sometimes you missed your shots, even with the proper timing. And speaking of proper timing, here comes those flankers. We mentioned they know the fake, they see the fake, they understand, and they execute. The two players clearing out all of this pressure, getting some upgrades on the way, you know, just to go. But they still have their work cut out for them. The 3v4 here.
Oh, and says, no, 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 you can knock on the door, but you will not barge through. You will revolve right back around into the dust to the next round. Moves. The classic in hand, maybe good for an exit. We'll hope to go down to the spike in this engagement. Angela has to leave the site as moves.
Oh?
Yeah, should find the head of one. But we'll instead take on that spike. Maryville, good for 2.
Yeah, I mean, that was an interesting round, and maybe it's credited to an eco, but it felt like Infiltrator, instead of being this, you know, kill search machine, they were more acting as like the bait, like, look at me, and trying to let Flare get the kills. And obviously that didn't really work because of the better weaponry for Ange, but I'm curious to see if that's going to be a continuance in these later rounds, like when the rifles come online in this instance. Maryville, a pretty good buy up here, I would say, to complement the bonus, the Outlaw in particular for Renz, but you know they have an Outlaw. You're not going to go any light shields here, and we'll get to see if it finds that opening impact like the last.
Okay, it certainly got that first kill. I was looking at Nazi as well, just a couple credits off of that Odin that may arrive later. But for now, drone of Chloric to meet B, but not meet any of the players there of Winthrop. They're positioned instead on the mound side. Expended utility Edge with the Shrouded Step onto the site. Does Moves have any idea that they're there? Not quite. And able to expose themselves out of the smoke and maybe even get a kill along with it. It's going to be Infiltrator though from the CT side. Wants to maybe move off of this drone, but they have to wait there with the paranoia. They're stuck in this cluster of utility. Shock Dart going to help push them away just for a moment. And now it is time for the fast lane. Infiltrator, it just creates an avenue for disaster. Infiltrator goes down based off of their own utility. Benassi follows up. Chloric able to get that one kill though with the Outlaw. It is nearly 3 in a row for Maryville. Ali, the last one to put it around. A lot of work to do. One head found. They've got to remove Rems, but with 2 HP, it's just a dream.
Wow, and yeah, waving them goodbye, waving to the fans, the crowd cheering them on here in the Esports Arlington Arena. 3-0, I mean, it's far from being done, but that's a strong indication of what could be to come. I mean, Winthrop's got to figure out that C-site control because the takes have been clean. We talk about the productivity from the pistol round. It's been clean. And Winthrop, I mean, when will we ever get a timeout from them? Maybe when you're in the grand finals map 3, it could be time.
That is one factor they are not winning in, is timeouts called. And yeah, at this point they won't be. Renz will not find an outlaw kill with the salvos instantly pushing them off. I want your thoughts on this instant salvo to A, just trying to meet Maryville at that push.
I mean, 40 seconds, they regenerate, soon to be nerfed, soon to be taken out of the equation. They don't have to think about investing them because they're gonna be back for the post. And it's just, again, to kind of try to prevent players like Ali from getting away with deep control like this, which we know is his trademark on the defense for Lotus.
Yeah, a war has to be waged every single time here for Maryville to just get through to that end. And so maybe that's part of what's really pushing them off that angle, and they can find other avenues to success. But they do have to worry about a certain Flare and company on this B side who are pivoting around, trying to make that right decision as to where Maryville will end up. Nazi, though, with the Sheriff, does scout out one, has to be pushed off as the execute emerges. Ange is a victim of the paranoia, trying to jump around, but that's too much utility to scatter around from. Now the pivot to C is the option, but it's going to be made very difficult with this Hunter's Fury. It won't collect anybody, but this push to C is they're still ready for.
Yeah, and here we go. You mentioned the preparation moves, Infiltrator high-low. Chloric, the unaccounted variable here, but with only 10 seconds left, Spike in the middle of nowhere. All you can hope to do would be to salvage this Vandal or pack a punch so Winthrop can't bonus these weapons that have been left upon the corpses of your teammates. And there it is, the Winthrop Thrifty. I mean, Maryville Going B on a no Nico for Winthrop. It felt doomed from the start just a little bit.
I'm wondering how much of an effect Ollie is having at Rubble, at Root, trying to push back Maryville from getting that easy territory. I don't know if they want to work for that spot. They're going to have to send the numbers, and based on how this positioning is starting, maybe they will.
And I mean, sometimes they do this and they just use it to set Ollie up as well, and then they dissipate. You know, they trickle to the rest of the map here. But I'm curious to see if you mentioned will Maryville try to break through at the same time, and they do delay it ever so slightly to wait out the recon wolf, but it comes through nonetheless. The salvos, the dive from Renz, it's all looking fairly swell, but Ollie is again positioned here, realizing that no one's really gotten through.
It's unstoppable at this position. And that paranoia is just not going to catch him. The relay won't going to make it nearly impossible to push through, but Renz has done the impossible. Gets two through the push and has created all the space needed for Maryville to get there. Flair able to be good for one before the trade, but the door going to be just what Maryville needs to get onto the site.
And with, you know, moves anchoring the C site, you know those numbers aren't infinite, and you have all 5 there to trade after trade after trade when Renz sets you up for success.
Ah, there it is. Cloric puts an end to it. And Maryville, they turn the tides right around. They say, you really want to take this A fight? All right, let's do it.
I mean, that's the core of Lotus. Really what the core of this series has been, looking at maps like Icebox and now shuffling here over towards Lotus. And my concern is that they did that with a simple gate cat rash from Renz and a paranoia. And now this round, what do you got? Armageddon, Dimensional Drift from the shadows. And so that's why I also would be trying to do it again when you did it that seamlessly the first time.
I thought it was going to be the Neon, the most capable of getting past the salvos, past the utility, but now the Yoru really coming to form on this attack side. And of course, that recon dart going to delay them a little bit, and Ren, sometimes you don't need to steal around the kill. You just need to take the right shot. Aftershock removes Ollie from that position. 2 kills instantly for Maryville.
Just like that, again, numbers tip in their favor. Again, really thorough utility here, but Infiltrator might have just slipped through the cracks. And with the TP across, they don't expect it. Line him up, knock him down. Infiltrator finds 2 to keep Winthrop right back into the fight.
Hold on, I thought Infiltrator would be the move on the attack side, but now on the defense instead, they're able to get a couple, but they're not good for more. There it is. Oh, moves, has to take care of so much here. Are they aware of somebody potentially in this hard cover? They're able to move around it. Right now, moves, so many angles to watch here.
I mean, as soon as contact's made here, I was going to say by Floric, you just pivot, but you mentioned it. Moves has this awareness, this air that someone could be roped. Can they finish the job? The flick, good, and has to reload.
Silence.
Not planted.
From both players, you maybe want to get half here if your moves and then try to pivot out for the kill. That's exactly what they do, but and just better on the face-off. Putting moves away from an insane clutch.
Our only ace, the sleeper player right now in the lobby, clutching out rounds. I don't even want to say are needed, are just nice for Maryville, right? Coming up to 5, you really only utilize the Armageddon to clear out the extra vermin still lingering around the ace space after, you know, Infiltrator kind of tried to dive back in. Ultimately, though, again, this is a time where MCE would be taking a timeout, but Winthrop, nah. What do you change?
It's just map 3 of Grand Finals of the CECC 2025. No timeout needed, no timeout required, but this overdrive, it just does not carve the path. It seems like every main territory has to be fought for, but maybe Nazi. This covert position could be good for more, or not so much with the neural theft.
I mean, you mentioned it, right? They don't need that timeout. The Infiltrator overdrive was the plan, and once Giza drops you, you don't have another pivot point. Throwing Thunder into side, Angie the proactivity, it feels like a shot case here for the side of Maryville on the side execution.
Shutting the door there was Ange on everybody trying to come around on that CT side, but Ali move past on this fault line, and no more meddling. Finding Giza, enacting a little bit of revenge there. The doors from earlier, Steel Guard finally popped. Now,
the
opportunity to move through on the bend. Oh, Wildfire just got around it and ends up for the kill. Only Ali to take care of now. But Ali's actually gonna go the other side. Chloric too keen to it, and It's just another wave to the fans.
It's like the, you know, the beauty pageant wave. Like, how are we going to end this map? By going very clean attack half, 6-1 right now, and it is again off of the proactivity of Ange, 10-4 right now, and maybe some minor mistakes, right? Moves not recognizing, hey, there might be a gap in the Steel Garden, and Wildfire finds that deposit and waves Zhobiii with a nice kill, and ultimately that's what's now putting it Maryville up 6-1, which I mean follows the trend for this map for the first time really this tournament. So I wouldn't be too scared just yet if I'm Winthrop, but I need to get the ball rolling sooner.
Can't be any gaps in these ultimates. Can't really have mistakes being made at this stage. You've got to come through crisp and clinical. That is the idea here for Winthrop, especially from moves, but they're going to be very easily spotted here by the dimensional drift as that clone is already put out on the narrow side. Ren's able to activate a little bit on the side and make sure the team can at least push through on the near side, but still more of this site to clear, as it will get through for that spike play.
And how far do you go is the question. Nazi sneaks away a kill through the cage just as it pops, which is huge. This is the first time Winthrop are actually going to see a numbers advantage retake.
And maybe off of scouting one, the Hunter's Fury could be popped. There's Ange is scouted, but they're just going to try to delay that retake with the dark cover or play around that smoke. Blindside does catch one, relay bolt does stun another, shock bolt to get a little bit of damage here, and maybe that operator can sing. It will indeed. Infiltrator good for one, make it two, and they just need a teammate to take care of the rest. Ange put down, and Winthrop finally come back.
And amidst the chaos, I didn't even ever notice that the spike wasn't planted. I'm like, wow, they're kind of taking their time clearing all this space out with the operator, and it's because Maryville finally got ahead of themselves. They're trying to take too many of these engagements after they really had control of the site for quite a bit of time, and they really just felt a little overwhelmed, a little pressure to fight forward like they've been doing, because that's their believed win condition.
An Infiltrator getting those instant kills with the operator.
So
that's exactly what you want from your duels, whether you're long distance or short distance. Make those kills count. Be able to hold on to it, and Renz needs to be very particular about how they maneuver around this area. They don't want to find themselves in the crosshair of a heating up Infiltrator, but they'll peek right above Root to make that kill. Instant success for the Maryville squad, and hey, with that operator gone, your options are opened up.
Yeah, Renz has been so good at cracking open the A side of the map here. See Flare trying to push back and hold at least some of this site together, as well as the information off Sova, and the Hunter's Fury going to supplement it. But again, it feels like a resurgence of Pearl where they use all this utility, but there's no follow-up, which is exactly what we now see. You know, this Teo trying to attempt, but I mean, I guess they got the job done. You're flushing them towards C, where Ollie should have heard them cross over, but it feels like a fumble. Moose isn't even on C anymore.
Oh, and Giza could take advantage of that. You see the response there, the Razorvine, the Aftershock, it's all to clear that near side, but what they've been having trouble with is following up on that. A good indication for them, though, as Maryville does get rid of moves, and well, this time, they only have 25 seconds to get the spike down, so I don't think they're gonna take their time.
Oh, and now, I mean, nice clear on the backside here. Again, the players here immediately for the side of Winthrop. The players still corralled here into water as well. You can see them trying to get off to play this utility, and so they have to hunker down, and that might just be their undoing. Armageddon's gonna force their hand, force the fight, and Angie, willing to take it here, might just have won this round for Maryville.
Oh, one more to remove a volley, but that might be the toughest of them all. Rifle in hand, hops up onto the ledge. The wallbang could get the kill, but it won't for either. Classic having to be pulled out here from Ange, and it's not enough. The rifle does it better. 34 HP is all they needed for Winthrop.
And the Omen diff after Angie delivered heroics to prop up the round for Maryville. And unlike the rest of the team, you know, celebrations, smiles, and all, that stoic expression showing how locked in they are right now.
Well, locked in is what you need, like I said, on this final map of the Grand Finals in Winthrop. Like you said, there's no need to be too scared yet. There's still plenty of time in this first half to get your foundations rolling, and that's exactly what we're seeing out of this team, who's been very responsive to a Maryville that's pivoted around. But Well, now you have Renz that looks a little more active on this A side as Maryville might not be playing around this time around.
I mean, you got the eco weapons, you've got to close the distance here somehow, and Winthrop really not giving them the opportunity to do so. Nice kill found by the Aftershock and the Salvos, and just like that, okay, sorry for doubting you. Infiltrator comes in, sweeps them off with the Outlaw, and you're good to go for your 4th.
It's like how everything started in this series. It was Infiltrator just getting kill after kill, and if you can activate this player, then they can get it down. And again, we saw that 3 rounds in a row without a timeout called. Well, that's 3 rounds against Maryville, and they say, yeah, let's hold off for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I love the proactivity out of the coaching staff again from the side of Maryville, right? You're entering a round where it's going to be the last buy, where you really have that lost opportunity then to have an advantage to put that 7th round on the board. You also have the Armageddon. You're 2 up from Giza's, Neural Theft. So there's a lot of resources coming into the mix that you're going to need to utilize to close out the half. And I think this is really good than just partitioning those resources, figuring out how to wrap this half up with a neat bow, because it's attack-sided Lotus. You want an advantage.
You do indeed. Well, there's a clear advantage on that Maryville side, and that is the Armageddon. We've seen how effective that can be in clearing out space and, well, creating the paths for the team to find success. Get right back to it. Is Maryville ready for a plan? Part of that plan might be Renz again taking out that operator from Infiltrator. We saw a couple rounds ago where they crouched right around route to get that elimination, but that's still a pretty ballsy play.
I mean, and the operators on the other side of the map here, look, it's over towards Mound. They were expecting, we talked about Winthrop, usually good at reading the room, reading these timeouts. This time, I don't know if they have it figured out. The duelist's not there. They're still going for this Mound fight, but Maryville, I think that's what they use the timeout as well to address. How do we win this part of the map? And it seems like the answers have flushed out all of Cubby with the Armageddon, and unfortunately it doesn't work because look at this. They occupied main and they are fighting through a revolving door.
The space was cleared, and they've got the eliminations to at least make it work for now. Paranoia in the blue room from Ali just to try and create that surprise, but they will need to be the sole factor for the round win of Winthrop, as the cover will maybe help with the defuse. They're gonna pop it, but that Aftershock is gonna force them to pivot around it. Another pop on the defuse should force at least one towards it, but all the utility expended right now for Maryville. They're trying to push them away. It wasn't enough for Renz. It may not be enough for Wildfire, as another smoke available for Ali to get on that spike, but Wildfire won't give him the option.
All right, Wildfire, we got to add some more than waving to your celebration, player cam, because we're seeing you too much with all these clutches. But there is that 7th round, much needed out of the timeout. And Ali, you did it once, but unfortunately cannot do it back-to-back for Winthrop in this situation. But all in all, the speed in which Maryville pivoted from A into B is what astounded me. The way they neutralized the C-mount threat was impressive, and I think that's why they're now sitting at the 7th.
I like that they didn't wait for that ultimate to be utilized as well. It's like, let's be proactive about it. Let's get right into the mix, and that's what we'll do for our final round of this first half. Once again, Ali Infiltrator positioned at this A side. I believe that is Infiltrator with a judge as well, but it's not where the action will start. It's about as patient as it can get for Maryville.
And I mentioned this, they kind of slipped up the last eco round, right, fighting into B. I'm like, why do you go there? And now, okay, they've tried to remedy it. They're trying to be a little bit more careful. They don't want to lose these really winnable and surefire rounds. So wait, respawn, and develop is exactly the go-to. And speaking of developments, Winthrop's Ali, from the shadows over towards the C site. Correct read for the time being to bolster the defenses here.
The door really mixes in the options, though, and Ali says, I'll give up my position for maybe a smoke spam kill, even a wallbang through that door, or as it revolves around, but they're not going to come around for that kill. They'll certainly hear the orb, though, so Ali waiting for a little bit of action, and, well, wait no longer. You got a Rolling Thunder right at you. Get out of dodge and get that smoke out, but with the stun, it's going to be made so difficult to get these kills, but made a little easier with the handheld of moves. They're still in this site, wreaking havoc. Wildfire, though, responding in unison. They are double initiating their way back into this site in only 15 seconds to get this plant. You've got to make this work. It's only Wildfire now. 1v3, make it 1v2. They just need one more kill, and they almost got it, but Moves puts it down. It just takes a classic.
And again, doesn't matter if there's 8 seconds left. Winthrop swings the 9 times out of 10. Better weapon or not, it doesn't matter. And that's how we get to this 7-5 half.
And I'd be ashamed not to remind y'all once again, one final time, that the CECC is brought to you in part by Sour Punch, famous for those delicious, perfectly sweet and sour straws, bite shapes, gummies, and the new filled straws. Sour Punch candy delivers a perfectly balanced, fruity flavor and punch of sour with their iconic mouth-watering coating. Treat your taste buds and punch up your energy anytime you need a boost with Sour Punch. Embrace your punch. For more information, visit www.sourpunch.com.
And jumping back into the action, we've seen 7-5s. We haven't really seen the pistol turnarounds whenever they're locked in. It's almost a curse for CECC 2025. Can Winthrop do it when it matters most? The pistol round in map 3 of the grand finals. Ali is going to have to do some heroics here if they want to.
Yeah, the option's certainly there, and they'll spam their way through the cage as it's necessary, but still holding on to those 2 smokes to deliver the real execute and keep those options available for Flare to maybe find that headshot. But they won't get a jump peeking opponent instead. Focus maybe on this pivot around to C, and seems perfectly capable of delivering some kills in this moment. Though off contact, they're prepared with that paranoia. One of the most effective utilities here in the pistol round, but is it effective if you're getting taken out by some other flashes? Infiltrator able to get that instant trade and get onto the site, but Ren's caught out by the drone. Infiltrator wants to follow up with that kill, but unable to do so. Finally does get Ren's. Swings around the site. They did a whole loop around for each kill.
And the 7-5 half curse continues. Again, it feels like whenever Winthrop gains a little bit of ground, Maryville multiplies it and changes the direction of it, right into the negatives. And just like that, it's a Maryville pistol round 1 out of thin air, which apparently I need.
We'll get the air. We'll get all we need to make it to the finish line of this match. It is past 10 p.m. here for Texas time, but it is also time to find a champion. We've got to get to 13. That's all that's needed. Well, unless we get to overtime, but we'll cross that bridge if we come to it right now. Giza has to arrive against all this utility. Special delivery sealed and packaged just for him.
Giza got challenged last time, did their job as a sentinel, anchored the B, shut them out, and forced them into CE, and they do it again. The pure fear of a judge doing the job, forcing these players to rebound over towards Mound. And that's where you can see Ange is also posted up here, ready to swing. And I just said you're afraid of the judge. Are you trying to conquer your fears all of a sudden in Winthrop? What is this?
Oh, I don't know. I guess it's easier to conquer your fears together with teamwork. Giza. Oh, and the chance to rip apart all the teamwork is good for 2, but it's another shotgun just to respond. And no better response there than the Bulldog of Ange.
I mean, they don't accelerate into B because they don't get the opportunity to. The response immediate there from Maryville to fight through Evolving Door. Very well done, very well handled to keep it very clean on the side of Maryville. Carry those Guardians over, carry the Bulldog over. Even the judge from Giza looks like it was salvaged and handed back at some point. And the one player that did fall doesn't have their weapon any longer. And, pick up a regen shield and a Phantom.
Okay. Everything looking pretty solid here for Maryville to take over this round, but we'll see what antics are in place here for Winthrop as they crowd Mound. And, well, there's alert from Moves that gets instantly neutralized. And speaking of neutralization, that's 1, 2, 3. Could even make it 4. We got a graveyard here on the C site to settle the score. And it's just that left of Ali. Ooh, a crisp little sheriff shot before the round ends.
And a few things to point out there. Number 1, when will we learn that second round forces when it's a close match should not happen? That should have been a round where there's rifles in hands and it was sheriffs again and a Bucky. And second, what is it with the omens in C Ben just finding multi-kills? F Sal from Cumberland, now Andra from Maryville. It is a match made in heaven, and it may just be what allows Maryville to finally step ahead unless Winthrop with this very rifle round can stop it.
A lot riding on a round like this, and we wanted this from Infiltrator to push right up and through with the utility, but was Ali expecting Renz to instantly get that pick? Was super prepared for it there at Stair, and well, for Infiltrator, it's just about getting back with your team, grouping up. You can see there from the sky view, everybody from the team of Winthrop trying to find a way to the site, but Renz on another level right now. Already found that first blood and is good for 2, almost for 3, but Nasi quickly finds the trade, and now they're on the site.
They're so fortunate to have gotten control here. And in the meantime, I mean, look at what's brewing on the flank, right? You lost moves. I like the Teos clearing out all this space, just ensuring that nobody's going to slip through. No one's playing off site in that post-plant scenario. So now the remaining players can focus solely on this site.
There it is, all this utility just to delay their action there towards the heaven side, and maybe it's the right read here. Maryville to try to get through the main away, the door activation as well, as the job made very difficult for Infiltrator, but Nasi getting equally odds and then some for 3 on this round. Chloric has to make fast action of this round, pops the spike, but no eliminations are gonna be made this time around. Nasi, it's their round.
A global tour, kill after kill, and each landmark victory found to stay alive. I mentioned it, that was a must win, or it's the fast track to map series championship point here in Arlington, and they get the job done, and that's what this team brings to the table. Again, mental fortitude through all these 2-1s, through the exorbitant amount of series that they've played, and it is coming now to be tested. Overdrive, Hunter's Fury now online, only to propel themselves even further towards tying things up.
Oh, the start of this round got so scary for Winthrop on the A side. I think it's gonna happen yet again as Renz pickpocketing Infiltrator on this round. The Hunter's Fury wreaking havoc. Wildfire on the Rubble side in order to get yet another kill, but Nasi able to respond as well with the Hunter's Fury. It's always bloodshed at the start of the round.
And it's always Ren's first bloods, and I'm so surprised how at the end of it all, it's always settling this half into an even game. And usually an A site secured favoring Winthrop. But Ren's, they opened up the round, they gate crashed out to safety and left their teammates to pick up the rest of the pieces. So now with less HP, you've got to close the deal, the 2v2. You
got to close down Nasi. We saw how instrumental they were on the last round, but have no idea where Renz is. The creepy crawler on the Yoru and making it look too easy.
And there it is, that 2v2 fluid. And looking like they're trying to upgrade some weapons there before the spike gets to few. But all in all, 11-6. That money going to be tight for Winthrop, no matter how you spin it, right? The Singer supremacy has to come out. Flare, one of the players that can afford a full rifle and a full shield, is going to have to show out. And again, when their backs up against the wall, you've got to perform. An Infiltrator with the overdrive and a Bucky combo, that could be one way.
That's a lot of money spent on this round. It feels like all or nothing on a round like this for Winthrop. Maryville, they can taste that victory, but saw that ultimate already executed for Infiltrator. They're already near the door side, trying to take out anybody that might meet them. Bucky out though, just in case anyone pushes through that blue door. But Ange again, good for 1 on the lurk towards B. Maryville starting out just how they need.
At this point, overdrive gone. All you got was the beginnings of an A exec, and those players are still lying in wait. Giza stairs, Chloric up top, Wildfire ready with the stun as soon as contact is made. It feels like they've gotten nothing. And now with that dimensional drift, Maryville is going to have everything they need to concoct a strategy to counter this B control. Oh, here we go. I mentioned countering B control, and Ren just does that off the salvos. Who found 3-3, a perfect special delivery, and again, ever present the revolving door. You can never count them out of a good old B main mound fight.
You just can't. You never can. And can you count out Maryville on their path to victory? Now 1 round away from the CECC Grand Finalists. This was the tiebreaker. This was the one to settle the score between two collegiate titans in Maryville. One step from that finish line.
And it instills that confidence as well. Like, we can be a challengers level team. Winthrop made a deep run into VCL last stage, and now you've vested them with one more round. Winthrop has the Armageddon, has an okay buy, but look at this. Maryville is taking their confidence to the next level, fueling this mound take, fueling Rens to again seek out these fights, and they look like they might just receive them. The drone information denied.
Reds has gone so big on these rounds, but it's just a decoy to take the crosshair away from that instant kill. Ange, though, with Giza, trying to get every kill that they can here. Pivoting around as Ange already found one, trying to get out of dodge, but that slide from Infiltrator doing all the work to remove such an X factor out of Maryville. Oh, but the spike got safeguarded in this situation with Giza has turned the tides for the team. And unfortunately, right now for Winthrop, you have 2 players with half HP. They don't have to spike down. They just have 1 remaining. Giza's on 3. Make it 4. Maryville, 1 team, 1 family, 1 trophy. Your winners of CECC 2025.
And while it's not a duo like wildfires entailing, it is dominance. It is the streak, the tie broken as your champions are crowned. And Giza now a 2-time CECC champion. Poetic, they're the one to find the 4K to close out that round, to close out Lotus for this squad.